Hey chess enthusiasts, have you ever wanted to end a game in just a few moves? Today, I'm revealing the top 5 quick checkmate traps every chess player should know to outsmart their opponents. Let's begin with this game. It starts with the king's pawn opening, e4, e5, followed by knight f3, knight c6, and knight c3. This is the three knights game. From here, black decides to go for g6, with the idea of bishop g7. Then we see d4, attacking the center. E takes on d4, the knight is being attacked, so white plays knight d5. Black develops his bishop on the long diagonal, bishop g7. Now comes bishop g5, attacking the queen. Black plays knight g to e7. A better move would have been to block with this knight because, as you will see later, this is an important square which this knight was defending. But anyway, black blocked with this knight, and now white starts setting up his trap. He goes for the knight sacrifice first. Knight takes on d4. Black has two attackers, whereas white has only one defender, and that is the queen. Now black can take either with the knight or with the bishop. If he takes with the knight, then bishop e7, and the queen is gone. Therefore, he decides to take with the bishop, but this is now completely winning for white. Can you find the winning combination? Let's see. It starts with a queen sacrifice. The main idea is to eliminate this bishop from defending the f6 square. So, queen takes on d4. And after knight takes queen, white plays knight to f6 check. Look, that's what I was talking about. This f6 square is going to be very important, and black does not have any pieces to defend it. Anyway, now king f8 is the only legal move, and finally, we have bishop h6, and that's a checkmate with just a knight and a bishop. Alright, let's move on to our next game. White starts with e4. Black responds with e6, the French defense. Then white consolidates the center by playing d4. After this, black plays pawn to d5. He is trying to attack these central pawns. White plays knight to c3, adding a defender. Black captures and white recaptures with his knight. We have now reached the Rubinstein variation of the French defense. Now here, black goes for knight to d7. The idea behind playing d7 and not c6 is that when he develops this knight, if white captures, he can take back with this knight and does not have to bring out his queen. But anyway, white went for knight f3. Then we see knight g to f6 as expected. Now, white did not exchange knights. Instead, he plays knight to g5, attacking this weak f7 square. Then bishop e7 by black, preparing to castle on the king side. Now, white decided to go for the knight sacrifice. It seems like a calculated risk because, after king takes, white can give another check and then take this pawn as well. So, that's what happened in the game. Knight takes. Black had to take the knight because his queen was hanging. Then knight g5 check, and now black had to move his king. King to g8 is the most logical move because you don't want to get your queen trapped after white takes this pawn. Therefore, black played king g8. Then knight takes on e6. Attacking the queen, black moved his queen to e8 as expected. Now, the next move from white is quite obvious. Knight takes on c7, forking the queen and rook. Black is in deep trouble, right? Not at all. This knight c7 move actually finishes off the game right away. Can you find the winning move for black? Yes, it is bishop to b4. It's a double check, and believe it or not, that's a beautiful checkmate. You're enjoying this, right? Well, then show your support and hit that like button below this video right now. Alright, now let's move on to our next trap. In this game, white starts with e4. Black plays e5, then knight f3, knight c6, and bishop c4. This is the Italian game. Now black plays knight f6, attacking the e4 pawn. And white responds with d4, opening up the center and threatening this pawn on e5. Black takes, but white does not take back. Instead, he castles on the king's side. Even though white is a pawn down, he has a very good position. Most of his pieces are developed, and plus, he has this dangerous rook which is eyeing down this e-file. Because of this rook, it is quite risky for black to straight away take this pawn. Therefore, he plays h6, preventing the idea of bishop g5. Now, in this position, white played a strange-looking move, knight to h4. It's not the best move, but his plan was to entice black to somehow capture this pawn. The point is that when knight takes, this diagonal opens up and the queen is attacking the knight. Therefore, white won't be able to straightaway play rook to e1. So, black grabbed the opportunity with both hands and took the free pawn. Now white really started to push the pedal. He went for queen h5, threatening a mate on the next move. To prevent this, the best move for black is queen f6. But I guess he didn't want to bring out his queen. Therefore, he goes for a very natural-looking move, pawn to g6, but that's a big mistake. Let's see how. In this position, white plays bishop to f7 check. He has to capture because, if he doesn't, then he's in big trouble with all these pieces attacking the exposed king. Therefore, king takes bishop. And now, can you find the winning continuation for white? Well, it's a simple mate in two. First, queen g6 check, king to e7 is the only legal move, and then knight to f5 is a checkmate. And that's game over. Alright, let's check out trap number 4. The game starts with e4, e5, knight f3, and then d6. We have the Philidor defense on the board. White plays d4, attacking the center. And now black tries the Philidor counter gambit, which is pawn to f5. White played the best move, bishop c4, eyeing down this diagonal and also preparing to castle. Black takes on d4, and e takes on f5. Now this e-file is wide open, so black goes for queen e7 check. White could have blocked with the bishop, but he plays king d2. His idea was to get his rook to e1 and then pin the queen, but black does not care about that and plays pawn to g6. White was on top of the moon and he straightaway went for rook to e1. But his excitement was short-lived. This king is out in the open, so of course there are going to be a lot of checks. We start with bishop h6 check. Then king d3 seems the only logical reply. Then he gives the check with the other bishop, bishop f5 check. King takes on d4 is the only logical move. Bishop comes down, bishop g7 check. See how beautifully both these bishops are cutting the diagonals, and the white king is forced to come down. So, finally, with c6, it is done and dusted because that's a checkmate in 10 moves. Isn't that amazing? Well, okay, let's check out the next game. White starts with e4, and this time we see knight f6, the Alekhines defense. White pushes e5, attacking the knight. Black moves the knight to d5. Then we see knight f3, developing it and adding a defender to this pawn. Black plays d6, trying to get rid of this pawn. White goes for bishop c4, developing the bishop and attacking the knight. Black moves his knight to b6, attacking the bishop. White captured the pawn with bishop f7, sacrificing the bishop. This is quite a common theme you will find in many opening traps. It is about exploiting these weaknesses on the f2 and f7 squares. Anyway, after bishop f7 check, taking the bishop is almost forced. Then comes knight g5 check. He wouldn't want to play king g6, it just exposes the king in the open. And if he tries king e8, then white can play e6, and black is completely cramped up, and white is in a really commanding position. Therefore, in this position, black moves his king to g8. White brings out his queen. Now, queen to f3 is threatening a mate on the next move. Queen e8 is the only possible move that can save him. And then white pushes e6, just locking up black's position. Now, here there's only one good move for black. Can you find it? Well, the best move here is g6. At first sight, this looks a little risky because you are opening up the king. Especially in such a situation where you have so many pieces attacking it. But that's the only good move. Black does not play this and instead went for h6, attacking the knight. That's a blunder because now we have a mate in two. First, queen f7 check, capturing the queen is forced. And then white takes with the pawn, and that's a checkmate because this square is also covered by the knight. Going back, in this position, had he played g6, then he could have freed this square for his king, and that checkmate would not have been possible. Also, it could have opened up this diagonal for his bishop, so black could have saved this game. Anyway, that didn't happen, and he got mated in 10 moves. And there you have it, our top 5 quick checkmate traps in chess. With these traps in your arsenal, you'll be able to catch your opponents off guard and finish games in style. Remember, a strong opening can make all the difference, so keep practicing these traps and get comfortable spotting the patterns. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more chess tips, strategies, and game analysis. Keep those kings in check, and I'll see you in the next video.